We are now going into the obituary of Mama Winnie.
Nomzamo Winifred Zanyiwe Winnie Madikizela-Mandela. Mama Winnie was born in Bizana in the Eastern Cape on 26 September 1936 and passed away in Johannesburg on Monday, 2nd April 2018. Big Mami represents a generation of South African leadership and black women who were exposed to the full brutality of the apartheid regime because of their political activity. She endured continuous harassment at the hands of the apartheid security police and was subjected to torture while in prison. While the pain that she endured during these years could not be forgotten, she did not allow it to break her spirit and humanity. Until the end, Big Mami raised her voice in support of meaningful transformation in South African society. She demanded social justice and came to represent the hopes and dreams of our country's poorest and most vulnerable. Big Mami was born to Columbus Kokani and Gertrude Nomatamsanqa Madikizela, both of whom were teachers. As a young adult, she moved to Johannesburg and became the first qualified black medical social worker at Soweto's then Baragwanath Hospital. Research into infant mortality rates in Johannesburg's Alexandra Township, as well as other experiences of apartheid South Africa, drew her into activism. On June 14, 1958, she married Nelson Mandela, with whom she had 2 daughters, Zenani and Zinziswa. Their early life was turbulent, peppered with constant police raids, African National Congress meetings, protest actions, and legal cases. In October 1958, Big Mami took part in a mass women's protest against the apartheid government's infamous pass laws, organized by Mama Lillian Ngoyi, Mama Albertina Sisulu, and others. During the protest, the police arrested over 1,000 women. Big Mami and others spent 2 weeks in prison as a sign of further protest. It was an event which brought Big Mami's political leadership capabilities to the fore. She played a leading role in the We Stand By Our Leaders campaign in support of the treason trialists of 1956 to 1961. Amongst her trusted confidants was Mama Ngoyi, who, along with Mama Helen Joseph, were the only 2 women accused in the treason trial. From 1961, she was subjected to an almost uninterrupted series of legal orders that curbed her ability to work and socialize. In 1962, she lost her husband to long-term imprisonment and was only reunited with him in 1990. Big Mami herself was constantly harassed and bullied, and her children targeted. In 1962, she was banned under the Suppression of Communism Act, during which time she was restricted to Orlando, Soweto. This restricted her movements to the Magistral District of Johannesburg, prohibited her from entering any educational premises, and barred her from attending or addressing any meetings or gatherings where more than 2 people were present. She worked clandestinely for the ANC, attending meetings, printing and distributing pamphlets, and was put under house arrest in 1970 for repeatedly flouting her banning orders. In 1965, a more severe banning order barred her from moving anywhere beyond Orlando West. The ramification of this banning order was the cost of her losing a job as a social worker. On the night of 12th May 1969, Big Mami and her children were woken to the familiar signs of a police raid. The police tore her away from her children under the Terrorism Act of 1967. She was detained in solitary confinement for 491 days under the Terrorism Act. As soon as Big Mami was released, the apartheid machinery slapped another more stringent banning order on her, severely restricting her movements. Despite the banning order, she managed to visit her husband on Robben Island for some 30 minutes. In May 1973, she was arrested again and given a 12-month sentence at Kroonstad's Women's Prison. She was released after 6 months and surprisingly, her banning order was not renewed. In May 1976, Big Mami worked with Dr. Ntato Motlana to establish the Soweto Parents Association and had their hands full with youth and parents who had been arrested, injured, or killed in the protest of June 1976. Following the student protest in Soweto, Big Mami was held in custody for 5 months without charge, and in January 1977, she was served with a fresh banning order that exiled her in Brantford in the Free State. By all accounts, her banishment to Brantford backfired. While there, she established a local gardening collective, soup kitchen, mobile health unit, sewing club, daycare center, and an orphan and juvenile center. She defied the system and returned to Soweto, and throughout the 1980s, she took on an increasingly prominent role in the struggle against apartheid. The 1980s were characterized by an unprecedented level of mass participation and community struggles throughout the country, and particularly driven by Big Mami in Soweto. The apartheid government responded with extreme violence, including troops, in the townships and 2 states of emergency. Big Mami's commitment to the struggle for humanity, in particular for women, led to her being elected in 1993 as the president of the ANC Women's League and subsequently re-elected in 1997 until 2013. She was appointed as the Deputy Minister of Arts, Culture, Science and Technology after 1994. In 1984, she published the book Part of My Soul, and in 2013, 491 Days, which she dedicated to her late granddaughter, Zenani. It draws on a journal she secretly wrote during her imprisonment. In the book, she speaks of the pain of being separated from her children and about how this shaped her into the person she became. Big Mami was a proud Black African woman who fought and persevered for her country against injustice. She knew it was a thankless job and did not endure the hardship in pursuit of any personal glorification, but instead for the emancipation of her people. She provided refuge to many young activists who identified with freedom and social justice. For this, she was given the title of Honorary President of the Congress of the South African Students for Life. Big Mami is survived by her daughters, their Royal Highnesses Swati Dlamini and Zinziswa Mandela, her grandchildren, Zaziwe, Zamaswazi, Zinhle, Zolega, Zondwa, Bambata, Zozuko, and Zolabo, and her great-grandchildren, Ziyanda, Zipogazi, Zwelami, Zazi, Ziwelene, Zenkosi, Zanyiwe, Zinoguhle, Ziyalo, and Zenzelwe. Nobandla!
Thank you very much.